Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back. This is CCN.
Kirk right here.
All right, with the For Real Deal podcast. Today, we're talking about dating advice with Basics 101.
The real simple stuff.
Yes, things you definitely need to keep in mind when you first start dating someone new. And as always, please don't forget, push that like button and subscribe to our channel.
Definitely do right there, because we have a lot of great advice, especially dealing with this.
Oh, yeah. So today, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start out with general questions you need to deal with or ask when you first start dating.
The most basic stuff right here.
Yes, and like the name. What's your name? Hey, how are you? And then you get the response of, I'm street dog. Huh?
Yes. You might not think it's serious, but it definitely is, especially for your safety and security, to know the actual name of somebody. We're talking about first and last right there. If middle initials are optional, but let's get a real name. Not street dog, not who, not Julio, not Princess or Miss Powder Pink. No, we want to know who that person is. And you learn a lot from that too, because you find out if the person's really serious or not about you when it comes down to a name.
Exactly, because if they're just playing with you, say, guys, you walk up to somebody and you ask her, hey, how are you? How you doing? What's your name? And it's Cinderfella. Huh? What? I'm trying to get to know, or you're trying to get to know the real me. So one of the first steps is my name. Because if I'm not willing to tell you what my name is, that's a flag right there that I don't want to get to know you at all.
Yeah, because there could be a lot more going on with Cinderfella right there than just the name. Dealing with past history, past criminal convictions, or a multitude of other little things. So that definitely is something which you want to go ahead and know. Another thing, too, is that you also want to know where they live at. And we're not talking about their exact mailing address. You don't have to give that kind of information, but a general concept of where they live, what side of town, what landmarks, what places. And this helps out for security reasons as well, because when you're describing Cinderfella and where Cinderfella lives at, that way they'd have somewhere to backtrack to, and not just, well, he lives around somewhere.
Exactly. And then are they even in the same town as you? They could be visiting from out of town. You never know. So, and then the question becomes do I want to start a relationship long distance if you don't even live here?
Exactly. And that way, by getting that out the way, you know where the person is from Jump Street. Because there's a lot of times, let's say, the problem about modern communication and the way the social networking works is that you can live anywhere. So you can make connections to people overseas, across the country, and all this time you've been talking, chatting, Facebooking, Skyping, and all this, and turn around to find out they live 2,000 miles away. Oh,
see, and that's why it is so important when you're first talking with someone to find out exactly where they are. Because, are there schedule conflicts? Where they're working? You're working second shift, they're working first shift, and y'all are going to have a hard time meeting unless it's just on the weekends. And then, you're talking about the internet in there. And that brings up another subject we need to talk about, meeting face to face, because you've been talking to this person, texting back and forth for 2-3 weeks, or like some people, 6 months or 2 years.
Which is a little too long.
Yes, I agree with that one. And then you finally need to meet this person.
Yep, and that's the whole thing, too, is this. Once you start doing this habit of constant texting, constant Skyping, constant FaceTime, you're missing out on the fact of who that person really is. And again, going back to the security issues is the fact of what kind of scams they might be trying to pull, too.
Oh, yeah, because, see, there are people out there that will not meet you face to face, but, you've been talking to them for 6 months, and now all of a sudden they've hit hard luck. They need your help. They need you to send them some money. Don't do it.
Yep, that's the whole thing about it. And we're not saying that you can't go ahead and Skype and FaceTime with people, but it is great to have a chance to see them face to face and know who they are, and see and have a description of what they're about too, because in this modern era, you can pretty much fake a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, you can fake a lot of stuff. You can fake your name, where you're at, where you live. But when you actually see someone in the flesh, you have that physical interaction with each other that you didn't have over the internet, that you can't have over the phone. Yet at this point, you can actually check to see if this chemistry that you thought you had in your head is for real.
Yeah, and then the biggest thing about that too is that you can just go ahead and when you're talking about meeting face to face, pick a public spot.
Yes.
I mean, just pick some neutral ground or some area in which you know, or pick an area which is out in the open. That's very important. Some place in which you're not in no side street somewhere, not no dark alleys, just any kind of real major spot. You know, and if you don't want to go ahead and do a coffee shop because you don't drink coffee, there's plenty of other options too. Certain types of restaurants, certain types of places in which you can go ahead and meet that are cafes. And again, let someone know where you're meeting at as well.
Definitely let those that are around you that you're close to know, hey, I met this guy, we've been talking, and we're going to go meet up for the first time. Or guys, I mean, really, let somebody you know tell them what's going on.
Yeah, because I mean, it works both ways too, because, you know, we always think about the fact of stalkers for women, but there are stalkers for men too. There are a lot of women that don't want to let go, and you might want to go ahead and make sure you have your story straight on what happened and what the situation was when it went down by letting people know where you met at and as well as what time you were going to leave or come back at as well. And that's the most important thing. Have some kind of system set up so that you can go ahead, shoot them a text before, and then maybe shoot them a text afterwards right there. Just let them know that you're okay.
Absolutely. And then a lot of times ladies will have it set up where, okay, if I'm out on this date and it's really not going well and I need a out, I'll just send my girl a one-word text and then she'll call me and I'm like, okay, you know what? Something came up. I got to go. And then you're out. So sometimes it is really because of safety that you set up these plans so you have a safe exit, that you can go ahead and get out the situation where you're not at a big fancy restaurant at night and you rode with him and you ain't got no way to get out and now you got to go, oh, I need to go to the bathroom. You go to the bathroom and never come back because you just had to call Uber and go.
Yeah, that's why you pick a great centralized public spot so that when you have to make an exit, you won't have any difficulty or any problems right there. But then also we're talking about the fact of talking and having something to talk about.
And we're not just talking about the fluff here. We're talking about some things that you really need to know, some of the serious topics that you actually need to ask about. Like, you know, this gives you the opportunity to find out a little bit about this person. Like, you know, you don't want all the details about their exes and what type of person they were, but you need to know, well, maybe how come the last relationship didn't work out?
And you don't have to go ahead and spend a long period of time going over it. I mean, this is your first meet, but it is important though that you get this out of the way first because you can find out about it. The fact is the relationship good or is it going to work out for you? Because you might have the same things in which we're not saying was bad about the ex, but maybe the person that you're going with, there's a reason why that was an ex.
Exactly. Maybe the last person that she dealt with didn't want to get married, and she does. It doesn't mean he's a bad guy. It just means they're at different places in life. She wants marriage. He doesn't, so it didn't work out well. So they amicably parted ways and moved on with their lives. It doesn't have to be a hate relationship.
And the whole thing about it is that it doesn't take a very deep conversation, just a couple of things which are said, a couple of things which are asked about, a little bit of information about it. So you said that you broke up because, and then just leave it at that. Or go ahead and find out, if it's been long that you've been dating. You can go ahead and find out just simple things. And again, you don't have to press the subject at this point in time, but just enough so that you can get a clear idea of where this is going. Because without that, you might be going down the exact same path they were going before.
Exactly, because say, you know, you're talking about the exes and then you bring up marriage. They don't even want to talk about it.
Or children.
Yes, that should be a red flag to you if you want children or if you want to get married. Because if the other person completely shuts down, I ain't talking about that. You know, we'll just see where this goes. But it's important to you. Then that's a signal that, hey, it's nothing wrong with them. He's just not the one for you.
And this might seem a little heavy for the younger crowd right there, but it also works for you as well, too. The fact that you find out about simpler things, about interests, about likes, because now you know that you're on the same path. For example, if they're a vegetarian and you're not.
Oh, absolutely. So maybe your faiths are different, and maybe the way you, like you said, vegetarian, vegan. I eat meat and I'm going to forever eat meat. So,
Yep.
A vegan and a vegetarian would not particularly really be interested in dealing with me on a regular basis because I'm going to always bring meat in the house.
And that's the whole thing, too, is that is a conflict that's just brewing. And again, if you're willing to make that change in your lifestyle because of this person, then kudos to you right there. But don't get mad because it comes out later on that all of a sudden you have to throw out all your steaks.
Oh, yeah.
Or that because of your different faiths right there, now you're getting up every Sunday to go to church when you weren't planning on doing it.
Oh, yeah. And see, these are definite things you can find out ahead. If it's important to her to go to church and she gets up and goes every Sunday, regardless of her faith, if that's important to her and she wants somebody that's going to go and enjoy that with her, then that's something, guys, you really need to consider, because if that's something you don't do, then it's okay to say, hey, I'm really not into that. I don't go to church. It's just me. And be honest about it.
Yeah, and then talk about different types of interests and hobbies. For example, if they're really into the gym, or if they're really into going to a museum, if they're really into doing different kind of activities, get it out the way first right there. That way you know where you're going to be spending the next dates at, or what the next things that you're going to be doing, because that clears the way in which you already know, okay, now I know that they're outdoorsy. We can do a picnic. Now I know this person likes to go to the museum, and now we can go over there. Or, hey, they like music, so now we can go out to a club.
Or a concert.
Exactly. And by finding this stuff out early, instead of going ahead and talking about how both of y'all love rabbits, and they're so cute and cuddly, or when I was younger about my dog.
Well, see, and that's another big thing. Are you a dog person or cat person? Do you like all animals? Some people might have allergies and some people just might have a fear of dogs. So if you're a dog person and she's afraid of dogs, guess what? It may not work out.
Exactly. And again, these are just simple little questions. You don't have to go ahead and have the inquisition about it. You don't have to go ahead and pull them to the side or bring out a Rolodex or the PDA or a smartphone and start listing all the options. But just think of a couple of things in which you really want to know that you might end up having a conflict on later on in the relationship.
Exactly, because this is what you're trying to avoid. You're trying to find out, what does the other person like? What do they want? And do those wants and likes align with what I'm looking for? Do those wants and likes align with what I like? They might like something different from what I do, and I might want to try it out.
Exactly.
Might want to go skydiving. Or bungee jumping.
Yeah, I can leave the bungee jumping out of my list. But again, by going ahead and finding these simple things out first, and especially if there are things in which you're really passionate about, find it out first. Find it out early. And then that way you can go ahead and now know, okay, that's out the way. And then you can go ahead and move forward with other things in which you want to talk about, other things you want to do.
Exactly, because are they very avid in activism? Are they big on social things? Like I work with, you can go work with helping people build houses, volunteering. Charity or volunteering a lot. If this is something that's important to this person that you're just talking with and you're beginning to date, then, these might be activities you can do together in the future. But if it's something that, when I pick up a hammer, I have two left thumbs. So, I had to leave that one alone.
And that way you go ahead and find these things out early, because sometimes you don't have an instant connection right there with a person.
Yes.
And always good to figure the stuff out before by going ahead and talking to them. And then on top of that, life isn't like a Disney movie.
No, it's not. It's not that scene that comes in where he looks at her and she looks at him and the spark happens and it's just love at first sight. It doesn't happen for everybody.
Exactly. And that's the biggest problem, is that too many times people go ahead and think that you walk in, that it's going to be sparks and fireworks, and sometimes it's just dud and a whole bunch of wet water up here running underneath the feet. I mean, that's just how it goes, though. Sometimes it's going to work out and sometimes it doesn't. But just go ahead, talk with the person, find out about their interests, And if you don't have an instant connection, I mean, this is the first time you're actually meeting that person. The first
Right.
time you're talking to this person right there. And if you have to go ahead and admit that, things aren't working, they'd have much more respect for you now than if
Yeah.
you string them on later on about trying to make things work, especially when you know that he eats meat, that he goes over there and lives in the woods, and that he decides to chase after bears for a living. And you don't check any of those marks right there.
And see, you're the indoorsy city type, and I get up, I go to work, I come home, I might go to the gym and work out, and he may not be into working out. And if these are things that, you find out within the first several dates that this is really important to you, this is what I do, and he doesn't, okay, fine. It's better to find this stuff out early than to wait 6 months, 2 years, 5 years down the line. And then you've decided, you know what? I don't like you. I really can't stand you. You make me sick. I don't want to be in the same room with you.
And that happens a lot more than what you think right there. Don't think that you're alone on this one.
Yes.
That's why there is no instant connection on anything. And if you can't see or make a way to make it developed, then let it go right there. I mean, it's nothing wrong with the fact that you might see something. So you might want to be a vegetarian or you might want to get into hiking. Those are things which you didn't think about before as an option. If you know that these are the changes that you want to make, but for you, that's the most important part. These changes you want to make for you right there, then just basically cut it. Because I know for a fact, if I had to give up my ice cream, I had to give up my cake right there, for somebody who decides that they don't want to eat sweets, I'm going to have to let you go.
And see, again, it's nothing wrong with the other person because they don't want to eat cake or they don't eat sweets. It's just a choice they've made and how they choose to live their life. And they're perfectly good in what they do. And they could be an absolutely fine person. But you have to be honest with yourself as to what you will and what you won't do. So, when you come into these situations and you see that, okay, this is something that's not going to work out. Me dating with you is not going to develop into something else. And then at this point, you have to let it go. And to all my lady friends out there on this, I have to say, we need to be more like the guys on this, because when something's not working out, cut your losses. Yep. Don't be afraid if it doesn't work out. It doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you and that person are not compatible.
And that's it right there. And I mean, here's the thing too. Don't be afraid. Go ahead. If it doesn't work, let it go, and then go back at it again. Go find someone else. Go ahead and have more dates.
Exactly.
Don't cut yourself off. I mean, that's the biggest problem. People think that after one bad experience right there, that, I can't have no more dates. No, that's the worst thing to do. The attitude should basically be get back on the horse and go back out there, and then just go find someone new, and then just basically redo the steps. Because in life, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of left and rights. And the thing about it is how you fare in it. And the best way to do it is to get right back on that horse and keep on going.
Exactly. It's like a little baby when they first start walking. They fall a lot, but they get back up and they try it again. And that's how we have to do our lives when we're dating. If it doesn't work out, okay, it didn't work out. Bye, I'll see you later. Gotta go. Cut that relationship off. Don't invest years upon years trying to change someone when they've told you, I'm not doing this. I don't like that. I'm not doing that. I ain't never having kids. I ain't never getting married. If this person is telling you this, then by all means, listen and say, okay, fine, cool. You're on a different page. I'm on a different page. It's time for me to go.
And that's it. And then once you go ahead and go, just say, go ahead, delete the number, go ahead and walk away from the situation, and then go find somebody new. That's the most important part to it.
Exactly, because you need to be happy about your life. You need to be with somebody else you can be comfortable with, somebody that you have natural chemistry with, somebody that, for some people it's important if the other person makes you laugh. Some people it's important that, okay, they need to listen to me or spend time or cuddle or whatever. And it's very important when you actually spend time finding someone that meets those needs.
Yep. And that's why when you go out there and you're out on that first date, that first encounter right there, is say, keep in mind of all the things which we've said right here, because the most important part to it is this. It's about you feeling
Yes.
comfortable about what you're getting into. And you don't want to make any kind of rash decisions at that point in time because you're afraid that you're going to walk away alone.
And see, there's nothing wrong with being alone. I can't emphasize that enough. There's nothing wrong with being single because not every person is going to get married. There's nothing wrong with being okay with who you are, where you are in your life, concentrating on what's important to you. That's what everybody needs to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know what's important to you and what you need to concentrate. You are first whole by yourself.
Yep. And that's the most important part, is that when you go ahead and you look for that person, that you find that connection.
Yes.
You find what works, and then from there, it grows and develops. But if you don't find out what works right there, then just cut your losses right there and find someone else.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong when you've dated one person, it didn't work out. Okay, I'm going to go date somebody else. That's perfectly fine. That's normal. That's what getting to know people is all about. Finding out whether you like them, they like you, if you share common interests, and if you have enough common interests together to build a relationship to move forward from that.
Yeah, because that's very important when you're talking about having a good relationship, is knowing, having trust in that person, having the facts on that person right there, being able to be comfortable with that person, having strong interest with that person, and having everything that works out, then you can have a good relationship and you move forward.
Exactly. But when they break that trust early, when you see that they're lying or they're telling you stories and they're changing it constantly all the time, it's like, okay, I don't need to deal with this. You don't need any other added stress in your life. You know, especially from somebody that you're dating. It's not supposed to be stressful. It's not supposed to be, I gotta do all of this to make you happy.
Exactly, because the last thing you want to do is go back and forth, because from this moment on, your relationship right here with this person, this is the anchor point. This is the one in which you're going to keep moving forward. So it's best to go ahead and make the right decision, not a rash decision, not a jump onto it. And just sit back and think about it. And then once your date is over with right there, you know, thank him kindly right there, and then keep on moving from there.
Exactly. And see, that's another thing. When you thank them kindly, that don't mean I'm kissing you. That don't mean, you know, we're going to go jump into bed or anything like that. We're just meeting to get to know each other. And developing a relationship takes time. So you'll have a couple of more meetings if you feel comfortable after the first.
Yeah, because that's why when you go ahead and talk with that person, you're finding out about information that you're going to go for the next meetings.
Yes.
And that's why it's important that you get away from fluff pieces, you know, a little back talk, a little text talk, a little what you were up here doing in your emails as you were sending back and forth. And no, this is the time to find out exactly what's going on in this relationship. And again, it's not 20 questions. It's not inquisition right there. It's just a simple, friendly conversation. And if you can have something like that, then you know you have something working out for yourself.
Exactly, because if that person can hold a conversation with you and they're not on their phone texting someone else while they're talking with you, which is rude, you know, if that person can hold your interest, then you can say, okay, then maybe this may move forward from here.
Yeah, because that's a little bit, too, of an etiquette note that if you're on having a date with that person, you're with that person.
Right.
Not on your phone keeping up with the game.
Not on the phone texting another person.
Yeah, you need to be up here communicating with that person you're with so that you get to know more about them.
Right, because if you don't pay them any attention and both of you are sitting up here eating and you're both on your phones playing games and texting, then that's kind of boring.
And plus, that shows immediately that y'all have nothing in common.
Exactly, because if you cannot hold a decent conversation with them, if they can't stimulate you mentally enough to the point where, you know, we're talking and the conversation's moving and then all of a sudden you hit an awkward.
And that's it.
And then there's just dead silence like we just had. You know, it's like, okay, what's next? What are you going to say?
Exactly. And now you're finding out that you don't have anything in common past the fact that, hey, they look really cute.
And then there's nothing else to it because a relationship cannot be based are grown on pure physical attraction. There has to be more in that glue to help hold it together.
Now, that's all you want is pure physical attraction. Make sure that both sides
Yes.
are clued in on that one right there as well.
Oh yeah, because if it's just one of them booty calls, then okay, you're both grown. If you decide that's what it's going to be, then that's what it's going to be. But don't go looking for something else beyond that when you both said to each other, that's all this is.
Exactly, because I mean, you meet up, you talk, you have the communication, and boom, what you do from there is what consenting adults do.
Yeah.
And that's the important part. Too many times we go ahead and mask things by going the long way around when you just need to ask a simple question. To say, hey, how are you doing? Do you want a long-term relationship or not? That's basically it.
Exactly. And like I said before, when you ask that question, well, what are you looking for in a relationship? And they're like, well, let's just see where this goes. There's your answer. He has no plan. He's not looking for long-term. He's not looking for it with you, at least. And you need to take that cue and exit stage left, because it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Nothing wrong with you. It's just not what he wants. And if the two of you are not on the same page, you cannot move forward.
Yep. And keep in mind that what we're talking about is any kind of advice for anybody who's looking for a long-term relationship, looking for a good foundation to work from. As I said before, if you're looking just to go ahead and meet and greet,
Hey.
Do your thing. But at least before is a straight up and forward.
Exactly. Because you're not playing games with each other. And believe me, guys, ladies really appreciate it, and you'd be surprised how many, if you just told them, hey, I'm just looking, just to hook up and play. That's all I'm looking for. How many ladies are looking for the same thing?
Exactly. And that's the whole thing about it, is that instead you're too busy playing games, in which you've been up here going around back and forth for about 2 to 3 weeks right here trying to play it when you could have gotten it on day one.
Exactly. Because really, we're all adults here. And if that's what you want and what she wants, there's nothing wrong with that.
So definitely keep that in mind. And the whole important part is this. Definitely date safe. That's the most important thing right there.
Yes, everybody be safe out there. And this has been Cece.
This is Kirk right here.
With the For Real Deal. And please remember to like and subscribe to our channel.
Definitely. Peace and love to everyone.